All right, team, let's go to the last story. Now, this day has been cram-packed with news. Like, honestly, there's already news I'm slipping into tomorrow's show. There's been so much going on because what the government has done today has actually finally released what they say are the treaty principles that are going to be a bill and a referendum on. Let's have a listen.
Government advisors from the Justice Ministry have joined the long list of critics of the proposed treaty principles bill.
So I didn't want to cut that too short. So the government advisors are saying, don't do this now as well. The people who are advising them are saying it.
Associate Justice Minister David Seymour released more details around the controversial legislation today and fired back at his own officials. Senior political reporter Benedict Collins explains.
It's clear he's got a dead bill walking. Nevertheless, David Seymour was ripping on its newest critics today, his own officials.
Do you hear that? So he's shitting on the people who wrote the bill, his people. He's decided to shit on them because it won't go through.
They believe that people aren't allowed to have a say about the future of their own country. They believe that ordinary people aren't actually able to think and reason and decide what they want for their futures.
Those officials think Act's bill threatens social cohesion, is ham-fisted, and worse than the status quo.
The whole purpose of this exercise is to push back against the bureaucracies.
It seems that officials are on the same page as you when it comes to the treaty bill. They think it's divisive. They think it could threaten social cohesion. I mean, why not just kill it now?
Well, we're in an MMP environment, as I've said yesterday. I don't know how to keep explaining it to you. I'm very relaxed about it. We've put it into process.
But is it worth threatening social cohesion over?
Well, I think what you're going to see is there's going to be an area of the views through the public select committee. That's where people can sound off on all sides of it. But as I've been really clear, we're not voting or supporting it beyond that.
It is, the more I think about it, it is pretty revolting that this government, and Luxon is aware, in fact, he's pretty much said, I think he has literally said that will cause division, and they're letting it go. So what he's actively doing, what they're actively doing is going, we know this process will cause harm to New Zealand. We know that, but we're going to let it continue because we have to, because Seymour is holding our feet to the flames. So in other words, this is being done 100% because of Seymour. Now, in saying that, Luxon owns it. But Luxon owns it. We've got to always say, come back and say, Luxon still owns us because Luxon opened the door. So there is literally one person in the country who's pushing this through. And because Luxon wanted power at any cost, that's why the whole country is now possibly being thrown into turmoil because of this. And Luxon's basically having to go, yeah, I'm fine with the whole country being thrown into turmoil. Oh, that's fine because, you know, MMP and all that shit. Shall we?
Yeah, what's come about out of him discussing the treaty principles bill is one very notable nugget for me, is this was the red line for the coalition agreement between ACT and National. That was what it came down to. Everything else was solvable. This is the one that they went to the line for. Yeah. And this tells me that Luxon blinked. He didn't think it was important enough. He wanted to form a government. This is what the game of chicken that is negotiating the agreement, he chickened. The thing about this is, put this in the context of everything else that they've said.
Yep.
The previous government wasteful with money. We are going through the full 6-month public consultation period so everybody can vent their spleen in an incredibly damaging process to the cohesion of our society for a bill that is dead walking now.
Yeah. As Chirpy
and
says,
he
wanted
still
the title.
won't pull the trigger on this and go, this isn't worth the flack that I'm generating. This isn't worth the damage that it is going to do to our society.
Yeah.
He is going to hands off it and say, well, this is part of our coalition agreement and we've got to honor our agreements, right?
Yeah.
Let's debate this previous agreement.
What he's basically saying is, I'm okay for kind of, 1981 Springbok Tour division for 6 months because, bloody, blah, MMP for 6 months. That's what he's saying. And now he has to own that. Let's get to the end of the story.
Yep. Bill seeks to define the treaty principles, including...
We'll go through this in more detail. TVNZ didn't cover off the full principles, but this is the headlines.
Government has full power to make laws, that hapu and iwi have rights when they sign the treaty, te tiriti, and that everyone is equal before the law.
This is a bill that's trying to rewrite New Zealand history. It's going to be a very divisive debate. It's taking us backwards by 50 years at least.
Is it a waste of money and time and resources to, give the...
That not me.
It's a total waste of money for government to be pursuing a bill through a select committee process that it has no intention of then passing.
Others suggest it'll be money well spent. For ACT.
This is interesting.
What we have here is a Trojan horse where ACT are actually using this as part of their campaign strategy to go into the whole of the middle of next year.
The treaty bill and the fierce debate around it lives on for now. Benedict Collins, One News.
So that's the story. I want to go and show you a couple more things because I'll take you to the actual Stuff article because they cover off some of that information in more detail. So this is the process from today. Cabinet has agreed on what the treaty principles bill should say, but its proposed principles could cause social division and constitutional uncertainty, according to official advice. So there are people who are writing this, who are involved with writing it behind the scenes, are now going, excuse me, sir, are you realizing how this is going to root our country for a while? You are aware of that, yeah? Because remember, when this doesn't go through, your racist Uncle Bob from Nelson is going to continue this conversation on for the next 18 months. This is not going to end when it doesn't get voted for. This is going to then go on with a group of people going, Luxon's woke, he didn't vote for it as well. And that will actually foment and continue this conversation. But here's the actual full reading of what it says, because TVNZ gave the headlines, yeah? So these are the things. Civil government. The government of New Zealand has full power to govern, and Parliament has full power to make lawns. Parliament's lawns, put my head. Laws. They do so in the best interests of everyone. Well, that'd be nice to see government doing that. In accordance with the rule of law and the maintenance of a free and democratic society. Number 2, rights of hapu and iwi Māori. The Crown recognises the rights that hapu and iwi had when they signed the treaty or titiriti.
That's interesting. That phrasing interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. So they're going to uphold that Māori didn't cede sovereignty. Okay, cool. The Crown will respect and protect those rights. Interesting. Of course, they're also telling us what those rights were, remember. They're not necessarily going to, Dr. Margaret Mutu to ask what those facts were. They're just, remember, Seymour won't tell us who's written these things. So basically what Seymour says they are is what they are. Those rights differ from the rights everyone has a reasonable expectation to enjoy only when they are specific in legislation, treaty settlements, or other agreement with the Crown. So what they're basically saying is, unless it says it in law, it doesn't matter that you've got this rights from the treaty, you will be treated all the same, unless it's specified. Now, this is I think the most interesting one. Right to equality, because TVNZ, I think, got this wrong. Everyone is equal before the law. That's where they left it, right? And is entitled to the equal protection and equal benefit of the law without discrimination. Now, that's different, right? So you'll be entitled to equal benefit of the law without discrimination. So discrimination is now not allowed. Everyone is entitled to the equal enjoyment of the same fundamental human rights without discrimination. Now, I'm sorry if there's any free speech union people watching, but that's horseshit. And I'll tell you why it's horseshit. Because if you are someone who believes this, right? If you believe this to be actual and factual, then you better not be a hypocrite, and you better get on the phone right now and start fighting. Start actually fighting for lowering of the voting age, because the courts have ruled at the moment that the voting age is discriminatory based on age, right? That's what the courts have ruled that. And Mr. Seymour's bill said everyone is entitled to equal enjoyment of the same fundamental human rights, and everyone is equal before the law and is entitled to the equal protection and equal benefit, i.e. voting, of the law without discrimination. Now, why it's horseshit, what they're saying is there is a ton of what's referred to as legal discrimination, right? Happens all the time. It happens everywhere. We talk about this all the time. Discrimination based on sex to be a Catholic priest. You get discriminated against females. You can't be a Catholic priest. It's allowed to because there is such a thing as legal discrimination. So when these free speech fundamentalists go out and they say stuff like that, they're just lying to everyone. Okay, so no more parliamentary privilege, Chewie. So that's what they're saying. Because parliamentary privilege gives MPs the right to defame someone. We can't do that, but they have a right to do it. That's discriminatory to us. We should be able to defame people if they can, but they won't be giving up that special little thing they can do. So it's just horseshit. It's horseshit about everyone. What it is, actually, let me rephrase it. What it is it's not explained or talked about in an intelligent way, right? Because the reality is we have legal discrimination. If you're 63 and you don't get the pension, you're being discriminated on based on age. It goes on and on and on and on. So when they put these things out, these are these free speech people who try and sell it all as a black and white society that we live in. We don't live in a black and white society. We live in shades of gray. There is nuance. There is discrimination here that there's allowed to be. There's discrimination there that's allowed to be. And they don't get it. Well, maybe they do get it, Chewy, but they just choose to arse around with it. So there you go. That's the news from today.
I mean, that was sort of laid out mid-afternoon today or something. I think I can't wait for smarter people than you or I to really get into the nuts and bolts, because
smarter
I think
you or I?
Yes, I never said I was a smart one. I said I was roguishly handsome and full of charisma. But yeah, I think this is the thing. We're not going to need 6 months for someone to point at this and go, this is a load of horse shit. I think we're going to see scholars and legal experts all go, well, hang on, does this mean that, as you said, 16-year-olds or younger can vote? Does this mean that I can claim super at the age of 44? If I'm a prisoner, I can vote now.
Can I offer something? Someone in the chat says someone brilliantly. Yes, very short. Remember, everyone is to be treated equal under the law. Very short. Right to equality, transferred to English. You can wear your gang patch. Do you see this is the point? This is the point. They're making laws that discriminate. Now there may be justifiable discrimination, which is sort of what I was saying before about Catholic priests based on their religious beliefs. It may be justifiable discrimination that this person can't wear that piece of clothing because of public safety, but it is discrimination. It's discrimination, but it's justifiable discrimination, at least according to the government. So on one hand, they're doing this bullshit free speech Atlas Network, everyone should be the same, and then everyone's not the same, and they're like, well, that's fine as well. It's like, you can't have it both ways. Right to equality, thank you, very short, it's brilliant. Transferred it to English, you can wear your gang patch. No. We can discriminate against them because we have reason to. Well, hang on. Actually, what your amendment says is everyone is equal before the law and is entitled to equal protection and equal benefit of the law. Well, except for gang members with patches. It's just smoke and mirrors, guys. It's smoke and mirrors. If we were watching, what is it, Penguins of Madagascar? Smile and wave. Smile and wave. That's all it is. Smoke and mirrors.